Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome one, welcome all to SimSpeed TV, round 4 of the Oceanic Stock Car Association Championship Series, the debut season of this brand new league. And it's certainly been a rollicking first few rounds of the championship. We've been to a couple of intermediate ovals, we've been to a super speedway at Michigan, and now we're here for round 4 at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. It's the Brickyard, and there's always a lot of prestige to winning races here, but it's going to be quite difficult in a NASCAR O'Reilly Series stock car, to say the least. We got 85 laps of action coming up for you here today, live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Kick. My name is Reese Gardner. Alongside me in the commentary box is my old mate Jake Sperry. Dan Yeaman is behind the scenes pressing all the buttons and bringing you these live pictures. Sperry, excellent to have us back in the box together, and what a track for it to happen at. We love Indianapolis.
Oh, we absolutely do. Indianapolis stands as one of the great titans of motorsport in legend, folklore, and history, and it's one of the bigger up-and-coming races in the stock car circles. Not so much, in my view, to be given, I would say, crown jewel status, but very much ranking as that 4th biggest race out there, behind Darlington, behind the likes of Daytona, for example. I think it really does offer a huge amount of running. 9.2 degrees of banking in the turns, nothing in the straights. It's 2.5 miles of pure all-out battling here over the yard of bricks for 85 times, and it honestly opens it up as one of the most important ovals ever, because you got 4 completely identical corners with none of them identical.
Yeah, indeed. It's very misleading looking at the track from above. You think, oh, all the turns are exactly the same. They are absolutely not. And this place will bite you at a time when you least expect it, particularly the run into turn 1. It's actually much tighter than the other 3 turns around this place. So the drivers do need to be very careful of that if they're trying to make passes. We were talking to Scott Rankin and Ethan Winter a little earlier before we went live, and they were saying that passing is not going to be easy around here, around one of the most historic racetracks on the planet. It's, in fact, the oldest operating racetrack in the world, I think, if not the second oldest, and built from the start for cars. Starting in 1909, the Indianapolis 500 being hosted since 1911 with a few breaks in between. But we're here in qualifying at the moment, getting ready to switch over to the race, which is going to be 85 laps in length. Stages are something that we need to think about as well. The first stage is actually longer than the second. In fact, it seems that the first stage is the second longest after the final one. Stage 1 will last for the first 30 laps, then there'll be a brief caution. Then stage 2 will end at lap 50, and I'm presuming as with previous rounds, it's going to be a straight up green flag run at the end of the second stage before we go to lap 85 for the overall finish. At least that's what we're hoping. If there's a caution late on in the race, there's a chance that we'll have that green-white checkered come out and we'll be in overtime.
Yes, so that's certainly going to open up proceedings here in terms of this racing that we've got. That, okay, it is going to be effectively a 30-55 as they go, but they've got those stage points to think about, which will alter strategy as they go. And critically in the championship, Ethan Winter, Cody Deeth, Zach Kerr, 1, 2, 3, all of them looking around saying this is what we've got. Winter and Deeth already have their places booked, with Willie McClune as well picking up that win to go and get things sorted. So they're going to be looking around at this going, what can we go and get out of it? But Reese, I think the bigger key is going to be looking around, because we're about a minute away from all gridding being sorted and pace laps then starting to go before our running starts here at IMS.
Indeed. It's equal at the back end of the top 10 between Lockie Capel and Luke Dilworth. Lachlan Capel is one of our Dash for Cash drivers this week, along with Cody Deeth, Zach Kerr, and Bryce Harding. Whoever finishes the highest of those four is going to get $50 cold hard cash, which is certainly going to be something to race for here today. We got to keep an eye on the championship top 12 as well as the championship goes on. That top 12 will get into the playoffs at the end of the season. So, a lot to think about coming into this round. We're about to get away here for this formation lap, just about 10 seconds away. And it looks like we have Zach Kerr starting on pole position for this one. Ethan Winter alongside him on the front row. Joshua Horton is going to start out of third place alongside Lachlan Frank. Good qualifying performance from the number 48. Scott Rankin was the pole setter last round at Michigan. He's going to start out of fifth place alongside Blaine Densley, Eli Donaldson, and Ben Faulkner in 7th and 8th. Faulkner, the first of the Mustangs here today. Wayne Burke alongside Josh Perwin to round out the top 10.
Over to 11th, where Lewis Greathead will have Matt Bailey for company on that 6th row, as Sam Chapman will be pushing around then in 13th, and Jacob O'Reilly will be then in 14th in what is these O'Reilly series cars. They're his. Jackson Barry then is 15th, with Marcus Watson on the outside of row 8. Bryce Harding will have work to do from inside row 9 in 17th, as Justin Clayton will be in 18th place. Your top 20 rounds out then with Lachlan Capel, who is back there in the Dash for Cash in 19th, and Fitzroy Beaumont there in 20th.
Ryan Barber and Clayton Davies are your 11th row of the grid. Daniel Boyd and Dave Douglas behind them, with Tyler Williams and Lachlan Mead on row 13. Shane Bowen and Jace Douglas, the 14th row of the grid. And then Willie McClune, the winner of the first round, starting 29th alongside Ashley Dodgson. Last driver to set a qualifying time ahead of Dilworth, Phillips, Deeth, Gregory, Lachlan Cowie, Tyson Broad, Logan Howard, Ethan Cale, Matthew Stables, and Nick Ryan. Those are your 40 cars. Getting ready for the start now. They're just coming through turn 3. And now it's that long, long wait that comes here at Indianapolis. The start-finish line is a bit closer to turn 1 than it is to the exit of turn 4. End-of-line penalty being given out to Byron Phillips. We have a couple of drive-throughs from last round that have yet to be served as well, from what I've heard. So we've got a little bit of drama to come around here. And just receiving news as well that Lachlan Cowie, his connection has dropped. So mega unfortunate there for Mr. Cowie, starting out of P35. He will not start there. Now it's time to get ready for the restart zone, or in this case, the start zone. Green flag flies, and round 4 of the OSCA Championship Series at Indianapolis Motor Speedway is go. And it's a slightly better jump off the start for Ethan Winter. He is nose ahead into turn 1, but Zach Kerr on the inside will have the better line on the way into the corner. Ethan Winter, though, keeping the momentum up on the outside there in the Supra as they find their way through turn 2. A clean start for most of the field, but it looks like we had a little bit of a wash up the track there from Scott Rankin, and they're going to briefly go 5 wide for 7th spot. That is a bit ridiculous right there. Josh Perwin, the big advantage in the midst of that fight. He is going to move ahead of Ben Faulkner, but jostling all through the pack, Sperry.
Yeah, Jacob O'Reilly's been shuffled out of line, and it has been a very aggressive start. Winter's been one who's been struggling to get the tyres to sit in the way he wants to, so suddenly he's the one under pressure. Josh Houghton's got to run, but they've got to get themselves ready off of the start of this race. Give themselves everything they can, side by side, into one, as they now look to try and give themselves everything that they... Oh, big hit there, Sam Chapman there, all in trouble, all involved, and that's going to be your first caution. Marcus Watson was there on the outside, trying to give himself every little bit of luck, and that's how quickly you can go from 0 to 0.
Yeah, unfortunate there to bring out the first caution of the race. It looked like, from my perspective, Sam Chapman was checking up and moving down to the left into turn 1 as he tried to make his way past Matt Bailey, and that may have caught out Marcus Watson. So first caution after only a single lap complete, and I hope that that doesn't set the tempo of the race, because we had an awful lot of cautions at Michigan, and this also being quite a big track, it means that the lap times under caution are going to be quite long.
They are, and the fact that they are, I think, is going to lead to a bit of a difference maker in this one, because they are long laps, got a lot more time to go, and think about what you want to try and do, where you want to try and really open up on opportunities here to say, right, do I want to pit early? Do I want to pit late? Do I want to make movement here early? I think I'm looking at the back of the field. They've got nothing to lose by coming in, taking service. It's about how far up do you want to lose the track position, play that fuel game, knowing that you've got to go and reach a run, and you're probably only looking at about 25 laps that you're probably getting out of a big old tank of fuel because of this circuit being so long. So you have to factor in that at some point, and I think you'll be looking at drivers maybe looking to take a little edge off of that rather than getting the stop fully out of the way early doors.
Yes, indeed. Well, the field is forming up behind the pace car right now, and pit window, the pit lane should open here. So we'll see if anyone decides to come in for a little bit of a splash and dash. Looks like we got a couple of drivers making moves down to pit lane from further back in the field, Marcus Watson being one of them. He's going to be followed in by Jacob O'Reilly and Jackson Barry. It seems that they are the only drivers to come in thus far. Nope, there's a couple more coming down there from the very back of the field. Cody Deeth, one of our Dash for Cash drivers today. Ashley Dodgson jumps in as well. Tyson Broad, Luke Dilworth, and Logan Howard. And then the duo of Ethan Cale and Matthew Stables coming in. Sensible decision, I think. If you're running up the back of a field like this and the caution comes out early on, you might as well come in and top that tank up.
Yeah, I wouldn't say this is a need for tyres in the situation that we've got, because they're going to be looking around at the rule book that they have available. They've only got 5 tyre sets to go and work with as they go through. Matthew Stables has horribly missed his box, so that's going to cost him a little bit more time out there. But you've only got 5 sets of tyres, so what does that mean? Well, it means that if you come into the pits and you change your tyres, or a tyre, that's 1. And then that's 2, that's 3, that's 4, that's 5. So if this does become a safety car fest, which does have a tendency of happening, Reese, you need to save those tyres for when you absolutely need them.
Yeah, for sure. And I think with the track temperature being how it is, the tyre preservation is going to be a major factor here. 39 degrees Celsius on the virtual asphalt, which isn't the hottest we've ever seen, but it's definitely getting up there in terms of toastiness. So driving smoothly, making sure that you don't use the rear right very much, you don't abuse it on the way out of the corners, I think is going to be key to good long run pace. But that basically factors in to actually having long green flag runs in the first place, and we don't have a very good sample size of caution versus green flag lengths just yet.
No, but it's about who's made good progress off the start of this one, and Josh Perwin comes to mind as someone who has definitely moved aggressive off of the start. He's up 4 spots. Nick Ryan up 11 has been your biggest mover, with Aidan Gregory and Lachlan Capel doing well. There is Nick Ryan in the Synergy Sim Racing 70, and he's thinking, right, we've got a bunch out of the way. Now let's try and jump. Aidan Gregory then as well, another driver who's turning around, looking and saying, look, I'm happy with my position. And then there's Lachlan Capel for Logitech GO-BDM. He's definitely keeping his eyes out, going, yeah, I want all the points I can get, and my Dash for Cash battle that is out there and in work at the moment. Issue is, Zach Kerr is leading the race outright. So currently, the best on the Dash for Cash right now is got to get to P1.
Yeah, Kerr doing quite well for the moment, leading from pole over the first lap or so. Of course, this is not dirt oval, so the laps still count under caution. That just means there's less and less time till the end of the stage, and if you want to go for those first stage points, maybe you need to dial up the aggression a little bit more. But the drivers will be hoping that they can get a chance to get into the rhythm of this race. Lights are off on the pace car. We'll be going green at the end of this lap. Meanwhile, here's the incident that brought the caution out. Keeping an eye on Sam Chapman there. And you'll see him just lift off a little bit early into turn 1 there, and then Marcus Watson gets right into the back of him. Fortunately, no one else got involved.
It's clumsy. There's no other way of describing it. It's clumsy. Sam Chapman did the right thing in just trying to ease off, trying to get a little bit of fuel game early. Lovely view of the crowd there going through the opening corner. But the big key is going to be, you don't want to get caught up early. Watson way too aggressive, but coming to this restart here, Reese, the key's going to be, how many cycles do you want to put into these tyres, and how aggro do you want to be with 30 to go before the first of your zones getting caught up in terms of points?
All right, pace car in, and the restart zone beckons. You'll see those markings on the wall and the cones on the fence. Once they're in the zone, away they go, and Zach Kerr brings us to the green flag once more. Remember, Byron Phillips still has that black flag to his name, but he hasn't had the opportunity to take that drive-through yet. It has to be done under green. Kerr, nice and clear in the lead out of turn 1. Ethan Winter now up against Joshua Horton for second spot, with Lachlan Frank and Blaine Densley chasing hard, side by side between Josh Perwin and Ben Faulkner ever so briefly. But it looks like everyone's just allowing Zach Kerr the opportunity to skip away. A little bit of a bump draft going on there as Lachlan Frank got into the back of Ethan Winter.
Yeah, that's just a push to make sure that they run back to single file as quickly as possible. And there's a caution flag out, and we expect it there. It's a big old junk up at the back. Tyson Broad's picking his way through. The big spinner is Luke Dilworth for Sigma Sim Sports, so he's the big hitter out of that from the back. It started all up in the front by the looks of things. I would say it's Jackson Barry just about avoiding it there. Byron Phillips was involved. It was Jace Douglas who was the one who got turned around critically on the run to 3 there. Byron Phillips being aggressive with the penalty already, and that will do no favours.
Yeah, we'll get a replay of it very shortly, but I can tell you it almost looks like a carbon copy of the incident that brought out the first caution, albeit at the opposite end of the circuit. Again, it's a case of a car, Jace Douglas in this case, lifting off early because he was trying to get up the inside of the number 61 of Willie McClune into the third turn. Byron Phillips just went into his rear quarter. The door was rapidly closing, and this time more drivers got involved. Aidan Gregory was up high, and he got turned around as well, and then the rest of the field coming through. It just looked like really rotten luck for Luke Dilworth. You keep an eye on it here. Here's the incident. So 3 wide, Jace Douglas getting turned right there, and then they wash up the track, then back down again, and right there off the left side of your screen, there's the 63 of Dilworth getting wiped out.
Well, I think these drivers, Reese, are being a little too aggressive as they go through. Here's Luke Dilworth's view of it then as he works through, sees it smoke up, and then it just comes down and he ends up getting caught up in it. Indianapolis drives different to every other oval property out there. And one thing about this circuit, it's a race to the bottom. The top line doesn't really rubber up here. You are in to out pretty much everywhere that you go. So if you're all fighting for the inside, if you've got any overlap, that's going to create a lot of drama. And so that's why we see the big hit. That's why we see a lot of drivers in the mid-pack just getting a little bit too aggressive, because they're not dialed in to how Indianapolis drives. It drives different. But speaking of driving different, we have got a couple handful of drivers deciding now is their time down onto the lane to take their service. And I would say very good job is this time now to get there. The likes of Logan Howard, Jackson Barry, Marcus Watson, they're all in and they're all understanding, right, this service is important. 2 caution periods in. We're only on lap 8 of the race.
Yes, average lap times are looking mighty slow at the moment, but it's a pretty simple case of getting a bit more fuel in the car, maybe changing a couple of tires as well. I see some suspiciously long stops from Jace Douglas and Nick Ryan there. Jackson Barry and Marcus Watson still at a standstill in pit lane, so I think we're starting to see a few drivers taking tires here early on for maybe a better run of things in what's going to turn out to be the latter half of the first stage. Otherwise, drivers getting damage repaired in the pit lane. There's been no change up the front for the moment. It's still Zach Kerr, Ethan Winter, Joshua Horton and Lachlan Frank, your top 4. Josh Perwin making some good gains in the top 10, up 4 places from where he started for now. And Lachlan Capel appears to have made a bit more momentum up as well. Remember, he's one of the drivers chasing Zach Kerr for that dash for cash, up 8 places now.
Yes, so progress being made in that competition, but there's also the overall championship competition, and how many points do you want to get to be into top 12? And I would say the big key is you've got to get yourself clear and stay within that top 12 in order to run on out. Now, drivers are keeping a very close eye on how they are going about and taking their service, because Barry and Dilworth and Byron Phillips, they all took as much service as they could, Reese, without dropping the lead lap. And that's the key, trying to get as much time in with repairs to be done on their machinery as they can before they go through. Cars lining up double file means we'll be going back 1 to green. And I think we'll be turning around and saying, right, who's going to go out there and be aggressive? Because, again, it's the mid-pack that are turning around and saying, we're going to get the elbows out. Ethan Winter, I still worry, though, about these restarts, because I don't think he's got a car that is really dialing in and giving him the stability on these starts. He's got a car that I would say is very, very loose. There, his number 39 Supra, and that's going to give Joshua Houghton in the Chevrolet opportunities to try and pounce on the restart.
Yes, speaking of, I think track temperature is going to play a part in this as well. It is still pretty toasty, but you notice that there's some reasonable cloud cover over the circuit at the moment, so I don't think there's going to be much more energy that's going to be put into the racetrack at this point. What's important for Winter at the moment is well, I guess just hoping that there's a long green flag run going, because if he is that unstable on the restarts, then he needs a bit more time to get that car done there. So, through the last couple of corners then, field forming up. Looks like we still have 38 cars on the lead lap. Aidan Gregory has not re-emerged from the pits after his part in the caution, potentially a bit too much damage on that number 41, but we still have 38 of our runners still circulating here. Pace car in, and it's time for Zach Kerr to prepare to put the power down once more here. Start of the 10th lap here at Indianapolis, and we are away. Another great jump from our leader. And Ethan Winter under pressure already from Josh Horton, who makes his way up the inside at turn 1. Getting a little bit down onto the curb, though. Slight little bit of sliding from the Vermilion Fury Camaro, and contact through turns 1 and 2 between Horton and Winter. Horton washing up slightly, has to back out of it. Winter has a little oversteer and manages to clear him. Now, let's hope that the racing stays clean but close.
Well, it's patience that you need, and Winter again suffers off from a slow start, and then everybody's going to try and jump. Houghton had a very tough job as he tried to work forward for it, just got loose on the inside by how hard Winter was pushing down low on that bottom line, trying to take away and suffocate the space. Did a great job of doing that. Back then on the drive to the yard of bricks, pretty much single file until you get your first run of 2 wide going, as it's currently Fitzroy Beaumont, Lachlan Capel. They're looking around at the moment. Beaumont trying to go and get on in then to go and get a move. Kerr with the fastest lap and a lap complete. And Stowe now, can they settle on in, or is there going to be a case where Capel on the outside here is going to have to really try and work with the train?
Yeah, Capel back to P12 now. Here he is, the number 16 of Fitzroy Beaumont, who's just behind Capel, and to his left side, Scott Rankin behind. That's a little bit of a wash up there, a delayed turn in for Fitzroy Beaumont, but no contact between himself and Capel, and now Rankin is all over the back of them looking to take advantage. A little bit of side-by-side isn't too bad when you're still getting up to speed, but I think once you're actually up to your maximum pace, a little bit of side-by-side is going to cost you a lot of time. That's just the nature of this circuit. It's got incredibly flat banking for a stock car track. So keeping your momentum up is absolute prime directive here. Eli Donaldson and Matt Bailey going side-by-side. There with a little bit of contact. Bailey's in the wall out of one.
That's a big old hoof into the wall from Matt Bailey. There has been a bit of nibbles of contact out there, more than maybe just washing out here, Reese, today. So they are getting into the side. Bailey now has to yield here to Lewis Greathead, who will jump down the inside of 3 and take it. And now Lachlan Capel will jump up onto the scene. We've got a bit of 2 wide behind as well as another Lachlan Mead. Then looks like Cody Deeth's going to start trying to side the way through. And Mead's in the wall, in the backer shot there. Deeth fed him into the wall there. Douglas through, Bowen through. Now you're going to look around. Jacob O'Reilly's going to go through. And all the drivers who have pitted, Sam Chapman now starting to make progress.
Yeah, not ideal for Lachlan Mead there, coming up against Cody Deeth, who was one of the most aggressive passers at Michigan last week. Had great pace, was able to side that up the inside, but it seems like Deeth is having a bit more of a sedate run up the field today. No qualifying time, of course, and we expect him to be a bit further up by the end. Meanwhile, the side-by-side continues here. Lachlan Mead's just trying to get back in line and keep the momentum up, but he's lost position now to Daniel Boyd as well. Jace Douglas and Logan Howard in tow as we find our way through to the start of lap 14. Keeping an eye on the lap times, Zach Kerr still with the advantage on average, 53.2 at the front of the field. Ethan Winter and Josh Horton are continuing to match that pace for now.
Just the one retiree from this, well, 2 retirees. Lachlan Cowie a non-start, and Aidan Gregory out and said, glad I showed up, in that lovely sarcastic tone of his. Then to say it's not certainly the way that he's wanted this race to work, as they have now found themselves to groove here, single file, and trying to work with this circuit to give themselves every opportunity to settle down into run and rhythm. The back of the pack, though, still continuing on their scrap here, as it's Matthew Stables to the outside of Jackson Barry. That's not going to work there, so Jackson's going to hold his ground. Jace Douglas then, a little show through. Oh, and a smoke up, because that's Jacob O'Reilly getting loose, and suddenly they're 3 wide around him. Oh, and he gets a tap on the outside that almost chucks him there into Daniel Boyd. Willie McClune, a winner in this series already, there with the tap on the outside. Lachlan Mead then finding a way by as well.
Yep, a little bit of a recovery starting there for Lachlan. Oh, it's so easy to get up into the wall there through 1 and 2. That's just created a concertina that's allowed Tyson Broad to get back past Logan Howard, and we'd expect Tyson Broad to be a bit further up the field as well. He was racing near the top at Michigan and Atlanta, and he's had plenty of opportunities thus far in this one, but again, it's just a case of taking it slow, taking it lap by lap. This is not a short race by any means, but Broad makes it into the top 30 in the Logitech G0 DBM Supra is going to get into 29th. So, reminder of the format here, end of lap 30 with a caution is going to be the end of the first stage, and end of lap 50 will be the end of stage 2. And of course, estimated fuel range is worth keeping an eye out for as well. At least one pit stop for fuel required. Most drivers will be taking them under caution if they are in the back half of the field. No movement at the front for now, but it seems Tyson Broad is starting to make some moves forward even further. He's up behind Barry and O'Reilly now.
Yep, so he's starting to make some progress, some good progress out there, and he's just got to run the table here as we're focused on Tyson Broad for the moment. You can only think of the car in front of you and the opportunity that persists in front of you. So for Barry, O'Reilly, Mead, McClune, Boyd, they're all there and trying to get the run. Cody Deeth has his eyes on Tyler Williams, as we see here that Justin Clayton picks up this run, and they're going over 310 kilometers an hour before they're leading off into the brakes, into turn number 1. This isn't like, say, your super speedway. This isn't like your cookie cutter mile and a half. You do have to lift off into these corners, and the difference is about 70 kilometers an hour going into turn 2 compared to going into turn 1. Good run out here as the move will come along, and also just in front you can see a bit of side-by-side as well for Fitzroy Beaumont and Scott Rankin looking to switch back positions, which they do, and easily Cody Deeth, showing just how good he is out there in sim racing in all formats, gets another move done in the book.
Yeah, that's up 15 places now for Cody Deeth. So that Eclipse Sim Sports Camaro is looking very fast at the moment. Again, no qualifying time, but Deeth is very strong on race pace in this series. His next target is going to be Clayton Davies in that orange Supra just up ahead of him. Meanwhile, P1 is really closing up. Zach Kerr seems to have had... Oh, dearie me! Out of turn 2, into the wall. Ethan Winter's going to try and go for the lead here. What has happened to Zach Kerr?
I just don't think he's got long run pace, and that's the key. Ethan Winter, it's taken him 10 laps, but he's got himself back up to rhythm. They both clipped the wall out of 2, but the outside of 3 leans to the outside of 4. Vortex Simsport, Vermilion Esports X Nexus, and ultimately it's Zach Kerr who has to lose out. To the lead goes Ethan Winter, and now bring Josh Houghton and Lockie Frank into play, because they're going to want to find a lane over the yard of bricks for the 19th time. And now in towards turn 1.
Well, I did a little bit of rewinding, having a look at those last few laps. It seemed like over the last lap or two, Ethan Winter was just gaining a little bit on entry into every corner. And now he's starting to extend his advantage on the exits as well. I mean, you were talking earlier about how Ethan Winter just seemed to have trouble switching his car on in those early stages. Now that we've gotten a reasonable green flag run going, the pace of that Supra is showing. And by the same token, Zach Kerr seems to be falling off the wagon. Look at the gap Winter has now.
Yeah, 0.3 of a second. Ben Faulkner's just lost a place out. Eli Donaldson gaining that one back to move into 8th place. So he's making progress, but this is what happens. Long runs get exacerbated here at this circuit. It's not as easy as people think it is. And now here comes Houghton for the move. Into 1, takes the space away. Then from Zach Kerr, and that's him to 2nd, making the pass. Kerr will try and get a run off the exit, but he's built with a car in mind for a lot of caution period running, which is all right, but here's the problem. You're going to suffer now, and when they cross the line, it's 10 to go before we reach our first stage of the race.
Yes, not long to go. And the top 4 still have a reasonable advantage over the rest of the field here. Now that Houghton is clear of Kerr, we'll get another eye in as to how his pace compares to Winter, whether or not he can try to run him down before the end of the stage. Positions changing further back as well for 14th. Fitzroy Beaumont and Bryce Harding are side by side, and they just gave each other enough room through the final corner. You see them in the background there. Cody Deeth and Ryan Barber are right on the back of them as well. So there's going to be some shuffling going on in the midfield over the next few laps too.
Well, Cody Deeth's running faster than the leaders when he's got himself clean air to work with. So that's going to be a little bit concerning for everyone, how quickly he's making progress. He's the hot knife through butter, and he's currently, as we focus on our leading quartet, just gone by Ryan Barber, who's slow off the exit. And so he's now going to be shuffled out of the line. Then Tyler Williams going by. Clayton Davies is going by. And so now Justin Clayton wants in as well. And a look as well between Bryce Harding and Fitzroy Beaumont continues on. Lovely mid-pack scrap right now, but they're at risk of dropping here. Capel and Rankin, the two Logitech ODBM teammates.
Yeah, Rankin, though he lost a lot of positions in the first couple of laps, has gotten a stable run going, and he's running consistent mid-54s, much like the majority of our top 10. Lachlan Frank, meanwhile, a little bit further up ahead, trying to get it done here. Actually, it's it's Lachlan Frank who's just gotten it done on Zach Kerr, and Zach is now back to fourth. But look at how much that has benefited the fifth place battle. They have closed that gap completely, and Zach Kerr might fall outside of the top 5 by the end of the stage here. I think it's almost certain with how much he's tapping the wall.
Yeah, he's got to realise the more he taps the wall, the more he's going to put the suspension out of line. The more he puts the car out of line, the easier it's going to be to hit the wall. And it's just a vicious circle that he just gets again and again and again. Blaine Densley looking to chase it down. Wayne Burke, who's been quiet in this race. Purwey and Donaldson. It's a group of 8 at the front who are all looking around and saying, look, we're the ones who want to be trying to gain up and wanting to get these places and those points. And remember, stages aren't just there for the sake of just breaking the race up into easy bite-sized chunks, Reese. You score points, and so it pays to be good in the early stages of a run.
Indeed it does, but
Caution.
Just like that, caution is out, and it looks like that's Jackson Barry and Jacob O'Reilly who are falling down the order. That looks like a reasonable crash at the very least.
Oh, Willie McClune, I think, was the catalyst of it. He ran wide at one, Reese, tagged the wall. O'Reilly was so caught up on his rear that he had nowhere to go when the checkup came from his bounce off the wall. Barry then ended up on the inside, and O'Reilly, I think, has been turned, and I think he'd rather that it wouldn't be called the O'Reilly Series. I think he wants it to go back to the Nationwide Series or the Xfinity.
Yeah, indeed. I re-racked it myself and had a view of this. So McClune chasing these guys. He ended up actually making quite an impressive move into turn 1, it seems, picking up the slipstream, knowing that it was time to really get things going here at the end of the stage. But you see that he gets checked up, and Jacob O'Reilly catches right back up to him. McClune gets into the wall. O'Reilly with the tap there, and looks like it might have happened
That's
again
not even the
here.
first one.
No,
yeah, that was like the lap before. So that was lap 21, and so if that was a forewarning, Reese, then this would have been the canary in the coal mine here with Willie McClune. If he's understeering through one, you don't want to get close to the back. Again, I think you need to be a little bit more heads up here if you're Jacob O'Reilly. Look, he's pushing him up the circuit. There's so much understeer, catches the safer barrier, and Jackson Barry just says, look, I'm just going to have to help you around. I can't get out of it. These cars are brilliant for going, these stock cars, for going in a straight line. One thing they don't have very good is brakes.
No, or a low center of gravity. Very heavy machines that take a bit of effort to turn. So a little bit of context here for the Dash to Cash, for cash from rounds 4 to 8. In rounds 3 to 7, the top 4 chartered drivers are entered into the Dash for Cash in the next race, and the best place finisher of those drivers wins that cash. Very close to the end of the stage here, and that means we've had a massive amount of drivers coming into pit lane, potentially, to take advantage of a brand new set of tyres in those last few laps. Is that Capel that went very deep in the pit box, or was that Broad? Not entirely certain. It was Capel. So, oh dear, that's one of our Dash for Cash drivers for this round. That's not ideal.
It's not. Highest placed driver who came in to make a stop was Ben Faulkner. So Faulkner's going to be the one to keep focus on. I turn around and look through the field. I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. I see 20 drivers who stayed out. I see about 16 drivers, 16, 17, 18 drivers who came in. So it is a very split field decision. And the one thing you got to know, drivers with tyres making aggressive moves, this could very easily be safety car to take you to the caution or to the stage period if they are aggressive on this restart. So this will be a concern for these drivers that they won't have much time to get through. They can't afford to be caught up. They've got to be aggressive, decisive, but critically clean.
Yeah, 100%. And you also need to keep in mind that if the caution comes out anytime after we go green next, then that basically means the stage is guaranteed to end under caution. So that'll be blended right into the stage ending caution as well. There's potential here for a good few laps of action, but also an equal amount of potential for us to be trundling around Indianapolis Motor Speedway for another 6 laps or so after this.
So you turn around, Winter now in control of your field. Josh Houghton is second and Lachlan Frank is third. Zach Kerr's been good on the restarts. He'll have to go from fourth. When you got Blaine Densley and Wayne Burke, then they are fifth and sixth. So there are big profiteers from this. Cody Deeth is now up into 12th. So he'll be looking for a big push on the outside of row 6. He's still got a car that I think is working really well, so I'd expect him to get into the top 10. Shane Bowen of Cobalt, 19th place, and definitely eyeing up ways to make some moves up. Ashley Dodgson as well, pitted lap 7 to move on up the order. So you're seeing your last pit stops there on the left. Pretty much the front of the field hasn't seen a stop. A number of drivers have come in either very early or just in that last stage to go through. Tyson Broad, I think, only picked up 2 tyres out there to make the push and decided, right, I am going to get my track position and I'm going to find my way to move up into play. This is going to be an interesting, so sorry, it is a 14.2 stop, so I think he did take all 4, and just the timing board there updating on me.
Yeah, indeed. It looks like, the only driver that jumps out to me as having a suspiciously short pit stop is Nick Ryan, 12.6 seconds in the box compared to about 14, 15 seconds for everyone else. That tells me that Nick Ryan did not take all 4 tyres at the stop there, so he may well be in trouble depending on how the grip works out. Sun back out at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Those clouds that were coming over the circuit, they have gone away for now. And the track temperature has actually gone down slightly to 37 degrees Celsius. So there will be an awful lot of grip available, at least a little bit more than there was previous for drivers on those brand new tyres. And I think the drivers on older tyres here up the front are going to have a little bit of reprieve. This time, it's Ethan Winter who will lead us away. Zach Kerr still in P4 for the moment. But can he hold on with the lack of pace on long runs it seems that he's demonstrated? Restart zone in, and Ethan Winter gets the jump. Beautiful stuff. Already more than a car length clear of Joshua Horton, and Lachlan Frank is going to try and move up the inside into second spot. He's looking for those stage points, but so is Horton. So is everyone behind us. They're still 2 wide almost all the way through the field.
That was a lovely jump by Ethan Winter. He went early in the restart zone where Zach Kerr has gone late, and so it's caught the field. A little bit napping then. Houghton still having to work with Lachlan Frank, leaning on each other on the run to 3, and gives a little bump back there, does Houghton. Neither of them want to relinquish. He's getting pushed back along then. Is Lachlan Frank now trying to get in the line, but this is perfect for Ethan Winter, who's running away off this restart. Still the 2 wides that they focus on forward with. There's some 3 back there in the middle of the pack as they go back to 2, but out of 4, they are all coalescing over the top of Frank and Horton finally gets the clearance over to the yard of bricks.
Oh, it took him a whole lap to do that, and that's granted Ethan Winter a whole second in the lead of the race. My goodness, up the inside, that's not good. Blaine Densley trying to get it done, didn't work. That's put Lachlan Frank all the way up into the wall, and the caution is back out. Yeah, we're going to end this stage under caution.
That's just what happens when drivers get a bit too aggressive. Blaine Densley has not thrown a move all race long. He's looked to be aggressive into one. He's over-committed it in, and there is no way he is getting out of the corner the way that he's gone in there, trying to get that pass. That is just a little bit too rash. It's a little bit too eager, and if you want to go and win stage points, that's not the way you do it. You have to pick and choose the moment, and you can't bite off more than you can chew.
Yeah, I think that Densley wasn't anticipating Lachlan Frank to have backed off into turn 1 as much as he did. You know, we talked about it in the pre-show. Turn 1 a bit tighter than the other corners at this racetrack, so it requires a much more of a lift, maybe even a tap or brush of the brakes. Look at how that car is sitting. There's evidently an awful lot of damage there to the number 48, and he'll need to jump back into the pits for some damage repair, I am sure.
Yeah, Lachlan Frank, I don't think is going to be the most pleased driver in the world. It's the right side that is very much askew. They'll have to get a little bit of racing tape on that one to make sure that the bonnet goes through. Get the plunger and a kettle out there on Gasoline Alley just to pull out the panel a little bit more. I think you're going to have to get the panel beaters on it to get that Supra into position. But what it does mean is that Ethan Winter has survived the quote-unquote cold to now find himself with the stage points, and he'll be very happy that he's got stage points in his back pocket, with Josh Houghton now to second and Zach Kerr currently in third. And through all of that, Cody Deeth made his way up to 6th by the end of the first stage, as everybody... Oh, that's interesting. Lap 29, everyone's going down in, and I don't know if it's mandated or not, because if that's the case and Kerr's got a speeding penalty on the lane, Ben Faulkner is going to get the stage points.
Oh my goodness. All right. Well, we may have a couple of extra bits of info fed to us. We're being told that stage results are based on where they were at the time the caution was thrown. So unfortunately, it may not be the extra points that he was hoping for, but all the same, it's time for the reset. And Ben Faulkner at the very front of pit lane there will not win the... Zach Kerr, sorry, won't win the race.
He's got the penalty, remember.
Yes, he has. Yes, my apologies. Lot to keep track of here under caution with the amount of action going on in pit lane. But drivers who pitted under the previous caution have, of course, stayed out and will find their way to the front. So Faulkner, Harding, Chapman are your current top 2, but their tyres will go off a little bit sooner than everyone else's. Zach Kerr makes his way out in 28th spot.
So, that will now bring an interesting dynamic in, because there's not really much difference on the tyres, just an extra cycle and a couple laps. But it does mean now there are different drivers at the front. And so this second stage is going to have a completely different feel to what the first stage had. Where the first stage, you would have said, Reece, had that look and feel of, oh, the drivers who qualified quickest and maybe we feel are the fastest in the race are going to be up at the front and making that progress. You suddenly look at that next group and you go, well, now they're going to have to try and make their way forward on drivers who do not want to relinquish those places and have used their strategy to get up to the front. This is what I would say is the really interesting mid part of this race, and knowing also that they don't have very long before lap 50 and the second round of stage points that will go through. No caution, though, will be thrown if they reach lap 50 in regulation.
Yeah, very short second stage at this particular track. So the lights have just gone off on the pace car, and we're going to be forming up 2 wide now. Just 2.5 miles more of pacing to get stage 2 started at the beginning of lap 32. That means that stage 2 is only going to last about 18, 19 laps or so. And remember, there is no caution thrown to end this stage, but considering how often we've seen that yellow flag come out, I think there's definitely a non-zero chance of the stage ending under caution again.
Yeah, and that non-zero chance is the understanding that we have had 4 cautions in this race already, and at current rate we are probably going to be on 6 cautions here, 6 or 7, take your pick, by the time that we get to lap 50 of this race. But we are going to see more drivers when they get caught up into positions where they are going to be behind the 8 ball. We've still got 38 cars running of a possible 40, which is, 37 of a possible 40. We're still waiting on Lachlan Frank to take his service and get back out there and going again. But it's going to be an important restart here, because this is a chance for someone like Bryce Harding, for example, to get himself some time at the front, as he currently leads the Dash for Cash.
Yeah, going to be starting outside front row, and his fastest lap is about 0.3 slower than Ben Faulkner's fastest lap. I know, of course, there's an awful lot of pack running and a lot of lifting off going on throughout the packs here, so it's not very easy to tell who has the lap time advantage at this stage, but that's a number worth keeping in mind. The next number worth keeping in mind as they come up to the restart zone here is the critical lap. About 33 to 36 laps to a tank of fuel. And we're still round about 18 laps away from seeing those potential final pit stops. Away we go again to start stage 2. Stage 1 ended under caution, and it's a brilliant start from Ben Faulkner. Great jump, and we're seeing some big dives to the inside there. Lachlan Capel having to give room to Sam Chapman in the battle for 3rd place. It's side by side between Jackson Barry and Jacob O'Reilly as well. Look at Fitzroy Beaumont as well. He's looking to make up some time here. Bit of a compromised exit, tight out of turn 2 for Jackson Barry. Yes, in the back. We're staying green for now, but that's a lot of shuffling there. Jace Douglas to the back of the field.
How on earth Jace Douglas did not see that snap around? He had to hold on to that one, and he did very well. He was compromised in front by a very slow Blaine Densley on that restart, who got washed up in the high groove with the marbles, and it created carnage out there off of the get-go. It's currently right now still Ben Faulkner who's happy with where he is. Fitzroy Beaumont clear of Jackson Barry, but they're not settled at this moment. Houghton, the hot knife right now, as he looks to get by Willie McClune.
Yes, McClune wide in turn 1, and the big slide on the inside there from Horton. He wasn't able to get the run out of the corner that he needed. You basically got to treat the 2 corners at either end of this track as one around this place. There's so much momentum, so much heat being put through the tyres here. Jackson Barry going to lose another position to Ethan Winter, as Willie McClune's going to try and get up the inside there as well. These drivers who pitted under that stage-ending caution, rapidly firing their way to the front of this field. Ethan Winter is looking as switched on as anything. Look at the side-by-side at the bottom of your screen there between Jackson Barry and Willie McClune. They're going to go 3 wide across the yard of bricks there with Josh Horton on the inside. Who's going to back out first?
Well, at the moment, it's the outside that backs out here, and Houghton still fights McClune for it. That opens Josh Purwien's opportunity with Cody D now wanting to have a sniff, and you can't give him a sniff because he sees it everywhere. Winter still making progress. He's through on Fitzroy Beaumont, and he's got a rocket ship today in terms of his machinery that he's got out there as they work on now towards turn number 3, once again along the back stretch. And this is just a field that does not want to settle. Big block thrown by Barry. Did not want Eli Donaldson moving through.
Yeah, Barry was not quite dropping like a stone, but it's a steady fall through the field for the moment. Bit of contact there further back between Lachlan Mead and Ryan Barber. They get out of it cleanly, but Barber has lost all that momentum on to the start-finish straight now. It's going to be another moment of 3 wide across the line, and on the inside is Tyler Williams. He's going to try and commit to the move, but it's a brilliant fling into the corner from Ryan Barber. He seems pretty strong on the high line until he gets to the exit.
Well, that's 2 close shaves, and he can't get it to turn in here through turn 2, so that will give Tyson Broad a chance. Tyler Williams now is going to look to pick up a run, and it is now a case of 7 clear at the front, and everybody else is scrapping behind them. So this is really what the front of the field wanted, to build margin, to go and be happy with the way this race is going, and still Ryan Barber can't get out of his way, and he's so loose coming out of 3. Hold on to it. Tyson Broad left just enough room.
Yeah, Tyson Broad with the front row seat to that little bit of action, and he had to check himself up slightly as well. So now we're on to lap number 36, and it looks like the gap is starting to close to the top 7 again. Wayne Burke, 13th for the moment. He's looking to try and get back up the order after he was one of the pitters under the previous caution. But Cody Deeth. Oh,
he's
no!
turned!
Oh!
He's turned!
Deeth and
With
McClune!
McClune!
And that's going to bring the caution back out again. And I think that's going to be a confirmed retirement for Deeth, at least. The number 18 of Eli Donaldson also involved.
The engines have popped, and that is a massive accident out of 2. It's the difference of tyres versus not. McClune was there on the outside. Deeth had made the move. He'd made the move clean, but just as he washes up for the corner, he's not clear. And just like that, a big accident then brings itself into play. And this is what you have to worry about at IMS. You don't do small accidents at the Brickyard. They're all huge.
Yeah, and it was only a tiny moment that caused that huge accident. I just took another look at that, and I think McClune might have gotten a slight dose of oversteer as he got the power on, just as Deeth was about to start coming up the circuit again. So, an unfortunate coming together between two of our toughest competitors in this series. And that's going to bring another pause to proceedings here at IMS. Here's the incident then. So Deeth with some brilliant maneuvers throughout this race. He dives up the inside again at turn 3, but right there is the slight oversteer for McClune. Already carrying a bit of damage to the back, and unfortunately that ended up involving Eli Donaldson, an innocent victim in all of that. We'll see it here from McClune's perspective, and yeah, right there. I think it was almost simultaneous with the contact with Deeth.
I wonder whether it's initiated with netcode then in that regard, but that's what's hooked him across, because I think that's just a case of Deeth tried to get the clearance and he's just not clear on the outside. McClune's got just enough space. Now, you can argue the rules of the road there that, okay, if you're alongside, you still got to try and stay a little bit more narrow than that. Thought he was clear and he wasn't. But I would also give a look at that and say McClune is entitled to fight that, whether he's got tyre or whether he's not got tyre. So I think that's an important incident and a learning scenario for all of them. I think that's just racing. McClune first of those to come in. Burke's going to follow in with Jackson Barry. So again, we're going to see a smattering of cars looking to get themselves their strategy into play. Because if I'm pitting around now, I'm thinking fuel numbers here, Reese. I might just dose it up full and try and make it to the end of the race here.
Yeah, considering the frequency of the cautions, that provides a lot of opportunity for fuel saving. Those fuel numbers that we saw earlier, 33 to 36 laps, that's assuming a green flag run. If it's getting split up by cautions, then that just extends the life of the fuel tank, doesn't it? As it stands, we'll have 47 laps to go when the drivers cross the line next. So, yeah, I think you're right. Drivers pitting now, probably in with a chance of being able to get to the end without having to fuel up again.
And that's huge, and so all they're relying on is those right-hand side tyres not falling away as aggressively, and so they might drop maybe half a second a lap here, Reese, in terms of lap time compared to what they've been doing previously, just to protect the tyres so that they're in a range to go through. Obviously, that's reliant on a long green flag run, but if it's bitty and gritty and caution filled, then we're going to see a lot of that then as far as they go. Ethan Winter really impressive on that run, getting back up into 5th place. The only issue he's got, Josh Houghton is back there in 8th, so he's got a chance to jump up. But Faulkner, Harding and Capel, what a battle we've got. One of your Dash for Cash entries gone, but currently 2nd, 3rd and 11th they are. And if they finish this high up here, Reese, they'll be back up again to fight for the Dash for Cash next week in terms of racing action, because they're in the top 4 of chartered drivers in this series.
100%. Let's see if they can hold on to that. Small little fake out there from Ben Faulkner coming across the pit entry, but the lights should turn off on the pace car now as we see some drivers emerging out of pit lane. Willie McClune, of course, with a lot of damage to repair, spent 1 minute and 50 seconds in the box there, but he has finally made his way back out of pit road, and only just in time for the field and the pace car to come around. This is a long circuit, 2.5 miles in length, so I guess it's not as easy to lose a lap pitting under caution as it is at some other tracks, especially some of the shorter venues we're going to be racing at later on in the season. But you still want to try and get back out there before the field comes round. You do not want to be a lap down. It just makes your job all the harder.
And in saying that, Lachlan Frank did lose the lap, but he gained it back through the Lucky Dog system. He's 5 laps down at the moment, so he's got work to do. So he's got one of those laps back because he had to fully repair the car. Even though they've spent that long in the pits here, Reese, they are still going to be damaged out there, and that's the difference. You're running around still with a damaged race car. You are taking all of that extra time and service to try and get the damage repaired, basically, to say, I've got a car that can run at 100%. So that's what they're looking at to try and get themselves in towards the end. But for the moment, being in the safest place in the field right now is up at the front, where Ben Faulkner currently is.
He'll have Bryce Harding to his outside, with Sam Chapman and Lachlan Capel a row behind. O'Reilly and Winter the third row. And Winter spending a while leading this race. Ethan taking the first stage win and probably wanting to go for more big stage points here at the end of stage 2. When they cross the line, it will be 11 laps to the end of the second stage here. 46 laps remaining on the ticker here as we're about to go green once more. Pace car is in, and it's up to Ben Faulkner to wait for the call of the green flag as soon as they enter the restart zone. Here they are, green flag flies. Maybe a little bit of a slight concertina there between Ben Faulkner and Lachlan Capel, but otherwise a much closer start than we've seen previous. Faulkner just not getting the momentum he wanted there off the line, and round the outside of Lachlan Capel is going to come Bryce Harding without a bit of contact though. That's not going to work out. It's still looking pretty strong up on the high line there for Harding, but here comes Ethan Winter in the number 39.
It was a lovely attempt to try and jump here from Lachlan Capel. That's what's got him up into that second place. But Winter, again, very quick. Chapman, slow to react, and he's now dropped the time. Still a bit of too wide as they work themselves in, but look at it. Rocket ship on rails from Ethan Winter. He's very happy. Bryce Harding losing out, going back to 4th, and look at the way they fan behind here with Josh Perwin, Jacob O'Reilly there. Houghton trying to work the high line. Broad's up there with Scott Rankin as they now head to the yard of bricks.
Bit of weaving going on there in the top 5 or 6 places or so, side by side behind Josh Perwin and Joshua Horton. It's a battle of best Josh here at the back end of the top 10. They're involved very nicely with each other as we find our way through the turn 2. Horton slightly high off the bottom there. That's going to give Zach Kerr a nice run. This is the first time we've really seen Kerr back in the pack, and I have to wonder, since his car wasn't very strong on the long green flag run in stage 1, has he made some changes to the car in the pit lane, some brief tyre pressure changes potentially that he's tried to work out to give himself some more pace here in stage 2?
Well, you've got to remember, in-sim time right now is heading up to 20 past 5 in the afternoon, but I would take a look at it and say, right, this is going to be important because the track's going to get cooler and cooler. Now you can run the pressures lower and lower instead of having them chopped up high on their temperatures. This will help drivers later on as they go. Winter, by the way, going for second now as he's got the inside at 2 on Lachlan Capel, running up the circuit, giving him no room, leaned on him but couldn't get the run.
And this is costing them a little bit of time to Ben Faulkner, who's just cruising out there by himself out in front right now. Ethan Winter a bit quicker to the apex of turn 3. He just seems to stick to the inside line beautifully. That Supra is... big blocks from Capel, but clearly Winter has the pace. His car is just sticking like glue to that low line, and he gets the run out of turn 4 to boot. He's going to get into second by the time they get till turn 1.
Well, he's also commanding the circuit and gets into the side of Lachlan Capel, making him stand up and wait for the turn into 1, and a critical move when we know we are 7 laps away here from the stage being, 8 laps away from the stage being read out for stage 2. So Faulkner desperately trying to get away. Contact! Overlap! They're going to go skirting across into the infield. What a save for Bryce Harding there alongside Sam Chapman.
Oh, lucky escape there for the two orange machines there. Harding will filter back into 15th spot and try to get the momentum back up so he doesn't lose any more positions. There was a brief coming together off the exit of turn 3, and fortunately an awful lot of grass down low for you to recover that. Here's the other view of it. Oh, goodness me. He just avoided getting into the safer barrier there. I think he may have just brushed it, if not missing it by millimeters. And it's still going on here for Harding as he's trying to keep 15th place and move back up again.
Well, Bryce is being beaten about from pillar to post. He wouldn't have expected contact that late off the exit of 2. It was just a case of Sam Chapman looser than a goose and then just tagging his rear and very quick hands to get that wrestle back into position. I'm not sure how many drivers in that field could have stopped that from being a wreck, but great avoidance, and it's kept his race alive here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. What it has done, though, it's meant the top 3 have a gap, and Fitzroy Beaumont is currently in 4th. Now here comes the look down the inside. Wayne Burke's starting to make some progress here as they're going to go 2 by 2 by 2 with Tyson Ford. Rankin's got eyes on Chapman, Kerwin with eyes on O'Reilly. It's going to get busy here into 1.
Oh, certainly is. Burke there on the inside, and into turn 1 they come. Jacob O'Reilly washes up a bit in the middle of 1, but Chapman has to check up. So does Rankin, and Scott just trying his best to find that move to the inside, but Burke is right on the back of them now. He's dragging Tyson Broad and Ryan Barber with him, as a bit further up, it looks like Fitzroy Beaumont's in trouble. Joshua Horton drawing alongside him into turn 3, and Zach Kerr's going to try and follow.
Kerr needs this and does so Beaumont loses 2 on the run into turn 3, and Josh Houghton, who was second in the first stage, looking like he's going to get back-to-back top 3s at the rate he's currently running here, trying to chase down Lachlan Capel. And remember, Zach Kerr is trying to drive this one back up to go and get his Dash for Cash points all sorted and scored, as they'll now take a big old run at it here, but Beaumont's the one looking backwards because suddenly Kerwin wants to bring himself into play right now, and Burke still side by side with Scott Rankin in the wall. A tag there, that's not going to give Sam Chapman help as Jacob O'Reilly gets another little nick out of his car.
Rankin getting the power back on. He's going to draw alongside the 101 of Sam Chapman. Not much momentum there for the 101 Supra, and Rankin will clear him coming into turn 3, but does he have damage from that hit to the wall up the inside of Jacob O'Reilly? That happened out of nowhere, and amazing that Rankin was able to clear him. That was very close to a big incident.
I think Jacob O'Reilly's lost confidence here on how much speed he can take into the corners. He's overcompensated after 1 and into 3. There, he's got to get himself back up and dialed into that level, because if you're going to go anywhere of 10 kilometers an hour slower than you normally do, you get gobbled up here at IMS. You have to stay on the same pace level as everybody else. Look at Berkey go. He's got Josh Perwins inside, and he has absolutely stolen the march there into 2, and now eyes up Fitzroy Beaumont.
Yeah, looks like Burke's doing very well out of turn 1 and turn 3. He's just keeping that momentum up nicely. Oh, yeah.
Look at Houghton. Oh, he's in the grass. Houghton's in the grass. He was pushed all the way by Lachlan Capel.
Goodness me. Again, almost a massive crash, but some big saves happening all throughout this field.
And look at this, with 3 to go before the stage. Ethan Winter wanting to go back-to-back stage 1, stage 2. Ben Faulkner has been run down.
Yeah, across the line. The gap is 0.2 of a second. A caution at this point will end the stage early. So every driver out there fighting for position is going to be hoping that they have the opportunity to get it done here. Winter gets into the wall again out of 1. I don't know if the tyres have got enough left in them for this run here, but Winter still has the tyre advantage over Faulkner by about 5 laps or so. Oh, it's getting squeezed a little bit. Lachlan Capel throwing the block down the back stretch, but Kerr now to the outside. It looks like he's gotten a lot of his pace back, Zach Kerr. Yes, he does have a tyre advantage, but it's worth noting the pace that he's got right now.
Yeah, it's a dash for cash move, and look at this down the inside from Josh Houghton. He tries to pick Lockie's pocket, and this will allow Wayne Burke an uber run. Now as they go side by side for the lead as well. 2 to go before the stage, and now it's going to be Winter to the outside. Faulkner trying to hold on the inside track. He might wash up slightly. Ethan Winter, inevitable.
Fantastic move. Wayne Burke gets past Lachlan Capel in the process, up into the top 5. Ethan Winter had just enough space to move past Ben Faulkner there, and he will lead at the start of the final lap of the stage in half a lap's time. Burke gets by Horton as well. He's up into 4th. The drivers that pitted a bit further towards the end of stage 1 are now really falling off the wagon in terms of pace. There is no pace left in that number 43, and it looks like Lachlan Capel's going to be about to get Horton as well, despite being on older tyres.
I think you now got to switch your mindset. Yeah, you still got to drive for this lap, but you've got to start thinking end game now, as well as they will cross for what will be the white flag lap of stage 2, and they will know and understand that Ethan Winter's got a big old gap. Zach Kerr looking for a way to get up to 2nd, and Kerr now the best driver of those in the dash for cash, which you can see highlighted in purple on the timing tower. So there's still some big points to be had, but look at the way Zach looks to just uncork it out of 2. He's going to get a great run, and so too will Wayne Burke as he follows in the wheel tracks.
Yep, big slipstream down the back stretch. They will both be alongside Zach Kerr into turn 3, but Kerr flinging it into turn 3 here to try and hold on to some track position. Burke needs to check up, doesn't have the opportunity. Final corner of the stage, and Ethan Winter is going to grab the stage 2 win. That is 2 stage wins in a row in this round for Mr. Ethan Winter. And Zach Kerr getting back up into 2nd spot. Wayne Burke and Ben Faulkner drag race across the line, and that's going to be the conclusion of stage 2, but we are still green. The race is still going. Still the rest of this stint to work out, and Faulkner gets into the wall.
Oh, that's no good at all, and suddenly you're starting to see here that Faulkner here is starting to drop, and now he's realising, okay, how hard did I use my tyres? How much do I now need to be in a management stage here of this race, because you're still trying to get yourself to the end. Purwian then sees Scott Rankin now starting to make moves in the 2nd pack. Beaumont hasn't been able to do anything. Tyson Broad has just made the move through. So it's getting busy. I'd like to focus on this 2nd pack for a little bit now, because this is where I think you're going to have to be very switched on and adaptable in strategy.
Yeah, the battle for 9th spot. Tyson Broad up 27 spots, holding on to it ahead of Fitzroy Beaumont, Jacob O'Reilly and Bryce Harding. And that fight stretches all the way down to 24th place, Nick Ryan. It's a very tight pack indeed, barely any space between these cars, but there's still moves to be made, or moves to be attempted at least. Blaine Densley trying to get underneath Bryce Harding, but it's not working.
Oh. Harding's nose hit the wall off of the exit of 2, and this will give Blaine Densley a chance. James Douglas back there in 34th, but they're all turning around and saying, I want to get involved. So too does Matt Bailey as they look at the focus and go through. Harding ends up on the outside. Good pass by Blaine Densley to get the move, but again, Blaine has got to stop hanging his nose on the inside. He's been hit once already for doing that. He can't afford to do it again.
Yeah, it seems like Densley is the most keen
Faulkner.
Oh, it is, yes. Faulkner coming into the pits there after 28 laps complete, and we are within the window now to get to the end of the race on a tank if it is a full green flag run. So I think a smart decision there by Faulkner to make sure that he has some fresher tyres now for those last stages of the race. Densley again cutting very low beneath the white line there as the number 19 is high. Lachlan Mead trying his best to hold on to something here today, up 5 positions, but anytime we've looked at Lachlan, it just seems like he's been getting swamped. It's really difficult to stay in the rhythm in a big pack.
It's amazing how a driver like Lachlan Capel has constantly been swamped in this race, and he's still currently in 6th place on a gain of 13 out there. That just shows you how topsy-turvy of a day it's been. Scott Rankin, of course, going by. Josh Purwian is directly behind. Now, there is one issue out there with the stop for Ben Faulkner. He's got to make sure he maintains the lap as William McLoone is in. Jake O'Reilly has got himself a black flag penalty as he now dives into the lane, and we're seeing a number of drivers getting caught out by pit entry here, Reese, because remember, it's not IndyCar where you're down in through the boxes. The line is incredibly early here at IMS for the NASCAR stock car pits.
Yes, much more, or many more pit boxes here because stock car fields are more numerous than the 33-car IndyCar field that takes part in the 500 every year. And not to mention, we said earlier, not very good brakes on these stock cars. Also, these O'Reilly cars, they don't have an electronic pit speed limiter. It's entirely down to your right foot to keep yourself under the pit lane speed limit.
Yes, and so if you're having to use right foot, and it's very, very tough because of the new iRacing laws around the pit speed limiter, it is very tough. Daniel Boyd going to the back, Faulkner out and away in 31st, and it is getting really busy in the mid-pack at the moment. 46.5 seconds. I'm interested to see what the gap will be, because still Fitzroy Beaumont seems to be the blockade for everybody else here. This is the entire group that's stuck behind him. Harding wants a way through. Matt Bailey's going to push and say, right, I'm going to bump my way through. Cable loses out to Josh Perwin, but now you're seeing every single move here is going to be right. We need track position and we need to get through, because a clean lane into the pits is everything.
Yes, we'll see if anyone decides to come into the pits on this particular lap. Fitzroy Beaumont holding on to that outside line there versus Bailey. Almost gets sent right into the pit lane from that one. Very nice save, but contact from behind on the straight as well. Bailey doing very well to hold on to that one, but Sam Chapman getting a little bit antsy behind, and now Matt Bailey is high on the way into turn one.
That was Bailey's fault. That was Bailey's fault, Reese, because he moved across very late. Chapman was going to fill the hole, and suddenly there was no space there. Behind, though, Barber loses out. Ashley Dodson making the pass on up. But this mid-pack here, I think they're seeing their patience run out.
Yeah, and we need to keep an eye out on how long these guys have been going, respectively. Ethan Winter and Wayne Burke, 27 and 19 laps into their stints, respectively. This whole pack here, we're looking at Ryan Barber right now. He is also on 27-lap-old tyres. There's a variety of different strategies going on here. Harding, Beaumont, and Chapman at the front of this pack, they've got some of the oldest tyres of the lot, 32 laps completed.
I'm interested to see how Wayne Burke will try and run down Ethan Winter late in the race then, if he's right up on the back now with 8 laps fresher tyres. So he's doing a really good job of putting the pressure on at this stage. 57, 67, 77. It's about same stint again that Ethan Winter will have to do. And at current pace, Wayne Burke can put less fuel in the car at his final stop, and he'll have fresh rub to go and attack with. So I quite like his chances here in this one. Some lovely fanning out with 3 wide there in the back working through. Ryan Barber will lift out of it then as Jackson Barry and Daniel Boyd go for it. Boyd making moves.
Yeah, Daniel Boyd, he had a bit of an anonymous run for the first part of this race, but he's one of the drivers with slightly fresher tyres on board the car from what I can see. So, or he will have fresher tyres when he comes in later. Ryan Barber into the pit lane. He's decided that this stint is done. And that's 28 laps done on that set there. It's 28 laps remaining in the race. So you want to get an all right run on those tyres in. Pitting now, probably the best move. Look at the slight bit of oversteer there from Fitzroy Beaumont as Sam Chapman gets up to the back of him. The right rear tyre goes through it here at Indy.
I think everyone's trying to hang out as long as they possibly can in case a safety car comes out, a caution that will bring them the tyres that they want. We've had 5 of them in this race, and so they're looking for caution 6 to give them the free pit stop to give themselves the track position. But obviously with cars thinking about green flag stops, there's going to be some aggressive moves out of 4. Watch out for the mid packs here, or these big packs of 5, 6, 7. If they all dive in, or only a handful dive in, it's about predicting where the best place to jump is.
Another little dose of oversteer, this time for Zach Kerr. This is the battle for third place, Kerr versus Horton, as they have cars coming out of pit lane alongside them here. Luke Dilworth, the next driver to jump into pit lane from 27th spot. This is going to be interesting here. The 05 of Ryan Barber just completing his stop and coming out just behind these guys. This is what happens when you pit under green flag. Even at a long track like Indianapolis, you end up losing a lap pitting under green. And Barber, 14.3 seconds. That's right on the money for 4 fresh tyres and enough fuel to get to the end of the race. You see the tyre advantage come into play now. Barber is on it.
He's got to unlap himself, though, because if he gets caught out with a safety car, he's going to be a lap down and needing the lucky dog to get back. That's the fallacy of pitting earlier than your rivals, and so he's going to have to desperately get by the slower cars around, and he'll know that Burke and Winter are there in front. He's cleared third, but he's got more to do. Bryce Harding there in 9th place. He's got himself Tyson Brook for company, and then it's a free-for-all for the top 10 on back.
Yeah, this battle is incredibly tight. Matt Bailey running side by side with Fitzroy Beaumont. Tyson Broad getting through on the both of them. We're thinking that there's going to be a whole bunch of drivers pitting at the end of this lap, so look for pit lane to become a hive of activity in the next lap or two. Here comes Ethan Winter into the pit lane. Wayne Burke staying out. Makes sense. He's going to try and go a little bit longer, but who's going to follow Winter in?
Well, at the moment, it's going to be Capel, Harding, Broad.
Oh.
In comes Matt Bailey. And Lockie Capel's caught speeding on the gun.
Yeah, that was a very deep entry, locking the brakes on the way in for Lachlan Capel. So that's going to be some extra time added to his pit stop. And under green flag conditions, that's an absolute disaster.
Absolutely, because he's going to drop a lap. Definitely at this point. It will take him out of contention of dash for the cash. Zach Kerr now in the driver's seat will only have to worry about Bryce Harding here in this race. Good move by Houghton. He gets the track position over Zach Kerr, and he'll be eyeing up now where he wants to go. Fitzroy Beaumont saying, I'm going to come in and make a stop here under these conditions and try and get going. Ethan Winter's stop done and dusted. He'll be a mile behind Faulkner, for example. In now to the pits comes Zach Kerr from second.
Another lock-up on the way in, but no news of a black flag for him just yet, so I think he just managed to get under the pit lane speed limit there. So, now we leave Wayne Burke, Joshua Horton, Scott Rankin, Blaine Densley, Ashley Dodgson, Justin Clayton and Dave Douglas, along with Marcus Watson, next drivers to come into the pit lane. But the stint is wearing on here, and those tyres will certainly be past their best for Horton and Rankin, who have 32 laps on their tyres now. Fortunately, a little bit of reprieve and a cloud coming back over the circuit. Berkey in the lead, but this is going to be difficult for him to get into pit lane with faster cars on fresher tyres alongside him. This is difficult. Tyson Broad going to get underneath him, but he is going to let them by there. He has still got a bit more time to go.
Remember, he's got probably about 3 or 4 more laps before he wants to come in and make that stop. He wants to be aggressive on this final stint, use the tyres up massively to try and chase up. He'll also be still trying to hang out from those who are there. Behind him, though, in comes Horton. He's joined by Jackson Barry. He's joined by Scott Rankin. So they're all in and they've made their stops. Faulkner with a massive gap over Lachlan Capel, but Faulkner's the one to worry about here in terms of how far out he's got over Ethan Winter. He's got 7 seconds, but expect that to be eaten up over this stint.
Yep, it's going to be a similar situation to the end of stage 2 here. Faulkner in the effective race lead as things stand, with Winter chasing him down. You see him just in the background of shot. So lap times for Ben Faulkner, 54.1. The pace has absolutely dropped away here with the middle of the race. And we'll see who comes in at the end of this lap.
Densley.
Yep, Densley, and looks like he's the only taker for the moment, but I think we might be seeing Justin Clayton come in as well.
Yep, so he's decided it's time, and now we're going to get a smattering of cars then littering pits. Only 25 laps there for Blaine Densley, and they're hedging their bets by making this decision, Reese. It's about, do I want to get caught out, yes or no, or do I want to be in a position where I can go out there and be super aggressive? Look at Shane Bowen and Dave Douglas, 33 and 34 laps on their stints. They've gone a mile long.
Yeah, this is crazy here from Dave Douglas and Shane Bowen. But Bowen, I think, is going to bring that one to an end, or is he? There's a lot of shuffling around as Densley and Clayton complete their stops. They're going to come out just outside the top 16, it seems. Dave Douglas up into third spot.
Berkey's in.
Yep, in comes Burke. Dave Douglas is going to stay out a little longer. This is a really long run that Dave Douglas is putting on.
It's a big gamble here from Dave Douglas at Nitro Racing, and I reckon he's looking at this as, this is the only way I can do it. Run the tank dry, go as long as I can on these tyres, and just pray the caution comes out. And if it doesn't, well, okay, I tried something, but this is a really, really bold, brave strategy by Dave Douglas. It won't win him the race without a little bit of help.
You can see how the car is just swaying on the exits when you get off the banking and start ramping back down onto the flat. Douglas's tyres have been through it in this one, but he'll try to be as conservative as he possibly can here. It's going to come up to about 20 laps to go here at the front of this field for Dave Douglas. And he currently sits 5 seconds ahead of Marcus Watson. Matthew Stables another 4 seconds back. Douglas goes another lap.
I am shocked at this, but it's getting really, really busy in and around here as they have all gone into packs of two, with the exception of Bryce Harding, Scott Rankin, Wayne Burke's just come out with it, and Ryan Barber. So Dave Douglas right now, look at it. This is the perfect green flag scenario where everyone's got gap.
Certainly is. Less likelihood of a caution. Hopefully I haven't just caused one by saying that. But coming up to our top speed here, about 185, 190 miles an hour on the way into turn 3. And keep an eye on the hands of Dave Douglas there. He's just trying his best to ease the car out of these corners, but he's having to give a little bit more steering angle and just keep up with those micro slides through these corners. You're cornering at 150 miles an hour through these turns. God only knows how much temperature those tyres are building up.
And I want to go to Ethan Winter here, because on the last lap he did a 53 flat. Faulkner did a 54.5, and the gap is under a second. So on this lap he'll get there. Byron Phillips comes in for a pit stop, as does Marcus Watson. So this will be effectively the net race lead battle, but Ben Faulkner has been run down.
Yes, the pace of Ethan Winter is just magnificent right now. 53.2 playing a 54.6 for Ben Faulkner. He's taken more than a second out of Ben Faulkner for at least the last 3 laps running, possibly more. And you see the attitude of the Supra underneath the Mustang there. Ethan's just able to get a tighter, straighter run out of every single corner, and he gets the move done as easy as you like.
It's a lovely pass, and it's one where you say
Douglas
it's good.
in.
Finally, Dave Douglas decides he's going to have to stop, which now puts Matthew Stables into the position of taking a lap lead at the front of this field, and he's gone 29, so effectively we know he can go a maximum of 8 more out there at the front. But if he has to scrap with Ethan Winter, I think that will determine when Matthew Stables will come into the pit. So the question will be who's chasing. At the moment for Ethan Winter, it's Zach Kerr who's got to try and make the moves, and Kerr 2/10 quicker than Ethan Winter on that last lap. So he's starting to motor with the 1 lap pressure tyres, but remember there's drivers like Wayne Burke who can make moves late, Josh Houghton as well, 2 lap pressure tyres.
Yeah, this is going to be a really interesting battle in the back half of the top 10 at least, not to mention for the effective race lead with Zach Kerr running slightly faster than Ethan Winter, but is it going to be enough to close that gap? The gap between them is sitting at about 2.2 seconds, and with 2/10 a lap being gained by Zach Kerr, well, he'll be on the back of Ethan Winter by the time we have about 7 laps to go. Here's Faulkner and Kerr then, down the start-finish straight, and Faulkner looking to try and defend the inside on the way into turn 1, but I think that's just blending over to let Zach Kerr through, frankly. There's just too much of a tyre advantage there for Kerr. 7-lap-old tyres. Faulkner, also a teammate to Zach Kerr, so is trying to prioritise the best run possible for the driver in the better strategic position in the race. Here's Wayne Burke behind Josh Perwin, the battle for 6th place, and Bryce Harding's not too far behind these guys.
Burke, fastest of your contenders last time by. He's got now 9 seconds to chase Ethan Winter down, and he's going to have to hope that his tyres continue to fall as we're going to go 3 wide in the back with Broad, Bowen and Blaine Densley going down to the inside, trying to figure out where the lane is going to be. And look at Blaine Densley just jump up on the door of Tyson Broad and say, right, I'll see you later. He gets that one done. Willie McClune now is going to be the next one in trouble. Remember, he's got 15 lap old tyres, so he's going to be a sitting duck compared to all of them behind.
Look at the overspeed from both of these guys. The bubble of air being pushed forward there by Tyson Broad, giving Blaine Densley a slight boost as well. We've seen Matthew Stables come into the pit lane.
Whoa.
Oh my goodness, McClune, huge slide out of turn 1. That'll let Matt Bailey by into turn 2.
It will. Stoyle, has come in and made the stop. So Stable, he's going to now give the lead over to Ethan Winter. And so Winter now with 1.7 seconds is now going to be having to hold his ground right now at the front of the field with Houghton, the next challenger that goes along. McClune under pressure from Bowen as they go through. And there is Houghton, or was there for a moment. Pass now made. Here as McClune loses out to Sam Chapman, moving up now into 12th place. And this is just execute the strategy here. You built yourself the position, a long green flag run. All you can do from this point onwards without the help of a caution is execute the strategy game that you have made.
Looks like strategically Wayne Burke, the freshest tyres in the field, at least in the top 10. The likes of Dave Douglas and Matthew Stables, of course, with slightly fresher tyres, but they are further back and probably not in with a chance to get into the top 10. See Joshua Horton as well find his way past Ben Faulkner as those old tyres for the number 28 are starting to come into their own. And now there's some clear air between Faulkner and Burke for Wayne to try and catch up. Sam Chapman chasing down Matt Bailey for 11th spot. Wants to try and get to the top 10. Round the outside here. Oh, goodness me. Fitzroy Beaumont trying to sort things out here with Luke Dilworth. Remember, Dilworth was one of the drivers involved in the very first caution of this race. Impressive recovery to get back into 15th.
He's been behind the 8 ball all day, has Luke Dilworth, and only now is he starting to make the progress that his pace has allowed him to. On 30-30s up to 15th, a gain of 16 spots. Tyson Broad, your biggest gainer in this one. He's up 26. Josh Perwian then sees side by side as that's Scott Rankin making the move down to the inside. That puts him back to 6th and on a -1 for today. He'll be eyeing up Ben Faulkner, who will be a lame duck out there as Burke dispatches of Faulkner at a difference of about 1.4 seconds a lap. Wayne Burke, if he wants to win this race with it going caution-free, is probably going to need Zach Kerr to get on the back of Ethan Winter and there for some moves to be made.
Yeah, well, it looks like Zach Kerr is only just drawing level with Ethan Winter on lap time, so there's not many gains to be made there in the battle for the lead. We check further back to the battle, just inside at the top 20 here. Ashley Dodgson, Daniel Boyd fighting at the back of this one, and Dodgson, part of the Logitech G-Orbit Drop Air Motorsport crew. He's starting to get some good runs out of the corners there, catching up to Justin Clayton and Lachlan Mead. Clayton, one of only 3 drivers in the field right now, still in the same position they started in. The other 2 being Matt Bailey in 12th and Joshua Horton in 3rd. Here comes Clayton, potentially to try and make it up 1 from where he started this race. Slightly wide there on the way in for the 19 of Mead, but I think Lachlan's been pretty used to running that slightly higher line all the way through this race. Faulkner has just fallen back to 6th spot. Rankin and Perwin have found him, and they will move by into turn 1.
Yeah, no shocks there. I think this is a case of you've made your bed, Ben, you're going to have to lie in it, and every place you lose from here to the end of the race, there's nothing you can do. This is your strategy. You're 21 laps in. You've got to go to 35 on the stint, and you're just going to have to see everybody behind you start running up and running by, and I think there's nothing more that he can do. in this situation. I would look around at this and say, okay, what do we have at the end of this race? What are we going to find? If it does become an issue late on here, Reese, remember, we do have overtime here to make things happen. I would like to go to Lachlan Mead because through has gone Justin Clayton looking for a move. There's contact between them onto the quarter panel as they go through. That offers up a golden ticket then for just behind, because suddenly Ashley Dodgson says, I want Lockie Mead's number. He says, hello, one place please. He takes his order and says, very good, quick and easy service.
Mead's looking very loose there. He may get dispatched by Daniel Boyd very shortly. Speaking of looking loose, Sam Chapman with Tyson Broad right on the back of him. Broad is the hard charger in the field. Car number 25 is up 25 positions right now. Not the best run out of turn 2, but there's a lot of potential here for Broad to make the move again.
He has just lost it though, so I think that he needs to go and gather himself, gain it back. Sam Chapman is on the charge, and if you're wanting to note here their strategy difference, Broad, 1 lap older tyres, so not too much between them, but enough at this moment in time. Winter with that stable gap, 1.6, 1.7. We know he's got a good long run car available, so now it's up to Houghton and Burke. I'm looking at these leaders' times. 54.4 Ethan Winter, 54.4 Zach Houghton, 54.1 Burke. 53.8 was 6/10 quicker than the leader last time by. He's motoring with 10 to go, doing exactly what he needs to at 5.5 back.
Getting about 0.4 of a second a lap over Josh Horton right now. That is a difference of only 2 laps on tyres. It just seems like Burke has been able to keep those tyre temperatures down and look after that right rear in particular. Let's see if there's any difference in the attitude of the cars there. Meanwhile, Luke Dilworth up with the number 19 of Lachlan Mead. Mead trying to get a position back here. Dilworth also dropping back, contact into turn 3. And that's going to give Daniel Boyd a bit of a run as well in the Supra just behind. But they sort themselves out just in time for turn 4. Very close stuff. Oh, big oversteer again.
Whoa, Nelly, is my question on that. Lachlan Mead is just ragging on the tyres, and the more he does that, the more they'll wear. And it makes life really, really difficult if you're going to be continually stuck in that position. This is what makes life difficult, and they're settling into those final laps. He gets wide in the wall, does Dilworth. That opens up the door back to the inside for Mead to try and go and get that move. The 19 looking to get that move sorted once more. Now needs to lean on the door, get the side drop, but also going to get some help behind. Daniel Boyd is going to help and create that pocket pressure that's going to allow that move to go and get by. Nice stuff then as they work to 3.
Indeed, a lot of respect between these drivers. Oh, another little sway there for Dilworth, but he just manages to get in line, and it looks like backing out of it is Daniel Boyd there. No use trying to go for the move when you too have problems with some older tyres on that car. In the battle for third, Wayne Burke is right on the back of Joshua Horton now. Gained another 0.4 on the previous couple of laps, and 7.5 to go for these two. Burke is surely going to get by on pace, but how defensive is Horton going to be?
Well, they're both chasing Kerr, and Kerr is slowly inching closer to Ethan Winter. So they're all, the top 4, all closing in on each other in the final 8 laps of this race. It will be 7 at the line for Ethan Winter. Vortex, VE, Vermilion. And if you're Houghton and Burke, you're going to have to start turning around and saying, well, which one of us is going to have to stand up and say, I'm the bigger man and I've got to let him go. But remember, this is an individual sport here, stock car racing. They won't let drivers go for anything. And on that last lap, Burke to a 54.6, and that has really not helped his opportunity. There is traffic in front in Barry and Capel, and Ethan Winter's not closing in on that, but behind as well, it could be any instant that makes it tough. Broad, Bailey and Faulkner. Faulkner now out the top 10.
And he's really struggling now. Look at the way that car's jerking around. Meanwhile, move made for Wayne Burke. He is past Joshua Horton, not quite on the way through turns 3 and 4. His nose ahead on the way out of the turn. But how hard does Horton want to fight his teammate here? Oh, just almost gets the rear quarter into the safer barrier. It's super close between the Vermilion teammates, and Burke is lifting, I think, a little bit on the start-finish straight. Either that or Horton just got a mega run out of the corner. Now they're costing each other time. Now they're touching, and this is allowing Ethan Winter and Zach Kerr to just get away.
Ego has now taken over between these two. Burke has got his clearance here, but here comes the up and under now from Josh Houghton. Either they're going to have to work on the side draft together to make this work, or otherwise they're just trying to say we're going to race it out for third because they've not got the pace. This is a disaster for the strategies that they've both got, and now they're giving Ethan Winter a glorious golden ticket.
Yeah, I'm feeling a little bit of trepidation with the lap times to come from Horton and Burke, how much slower they're going to be. Back to the battle for 17th. Mead has made his way to the front of this pack, passing Ryan Barber and working very nicely in the late stages of this race is Lachlan Mead. He should be very happy with how things have turned out for him, but he's getting benefited here by the battling behind. Dave Douglas and Ryan Barber side by side, and Dave Douglas, who is on the freshest tyres of the lot just about, getting a mega run out of turn 4, managing to clear them. Here comes Luke Dilworth. Easy does it on the way into turn 1, just clear at the apex.
Just enough then to say we continue green here, but this is where I think Daniel Boyd realises there are some quick drivers in and around here. Barber still stuck there in the wall. The turn. That's going to do it, surely. That's going to bring the yellow. No, we stay green because it's gone down to the inside of the wall, and we stay green because it was on the infield.
Yeah, re-emerges back onto the track and is getting back up to speed, but I think there was a lot of damage for Daniel Boyd, so he's going to be dealing with a car that's swaying on him through the corners. Hopefully he can make it back to pit lane cleanly and we stay green for the last few laps, otherwise we're going into overtime. Outside the top 20, Ethan Cale and Marcus Watson fighting for Project 36 in Iridium Sim Sports. Remember how Marcus Watson was a factor up towards the front of the field early on, how things have gone wrong for him. Fitzroy Beaumont and Willie McClune as well, two drivers who we would have expected to be factors in the top 10. They've had real up and down races, these two, but it's all on between them now. 0.3 of a second in the battle for 13th place, and it's Beaumont with the tyre advantage over McClune. But Justin Clayton and Ashley Dodson have even fresher tyres still behind them.
Yeah, and there's still side-by-sides everywhere you look. Douglas through and Lachlan Mead to another place that go to see those moves. And suddenly, it's these final places. It's, do I want one place or not? Can I get one more position or not? We're at 3 to go and 2.5 for your leaders. But this is really turning into, can I have it? Can I not? Clayton's got to move, but again, Houghton running a little bit deep. This is going to bring Wayne Burke back to the party here that goes on by. And remember, if we see something on the final lap, it's a free-for-all at that point. So they're looking around. They've only got a lap and a bit. If this wants to go to overtime at the moment, it's looking like Ethan Winter is going to take the lot here at this rate, here at IMS. It's going to be a case that he stands up on song, says stage 1, stage 2, and he might get the whole lot.
Meanwhile, further back in the field, car number 120 of Justin Clayton. Fitzroy Beaumont has gotten away from this pack, but Ashley Dodson has managed to make a move on Willie McClune just behind. So Clayton and Dodson are making lots of hay while the sun is shining, what little sun there is at IMS at the moment, on those slightly fresher tyres. But now only 2 laps to go for them to try and get the move done and move up into 13th and 14th. There's still fighting going on between Marcus Watson and Ryan Barber as well. Barber with tyres about 9 laps older than Marcus Watson's at the moment. So I don't think he's going to be able to get that move done in the end. Ethan Winter out of the final corner. It's 1.5 seconds in it between himself and Zach Kerr. A little bit of traffic for our race leader as the final lap begins.
1 lap left to go, and Zach Kerr has got a huge gap of 1.6. He has managed it well over Zach Kerr with 1 lap fresher tyres. Houghton with a lap fresher, Burt with 2 lap fresher than him, and those 2 behind can turn around and look at themselves here and say they have driven themselves out of contention in the final stages, looking at each other rather than the bigger picture as they work themselves onto the backstretch. Ethan Winter has driven an absolute masterclass. We're official no matter what happens. Wall there for Josh Purwian.
Scott Rankin gets a bit more of a gap over him there. But now it's just the final couple of corners for our race leader. Started on the front row, was a factor at the front all the way through, and I think just had the best car set up today, working beautifully with his machine. Number 39, Ethan Winter, is going to come across the line to take his second race win of the season here. And Indianapolis Motor Speedway goes to Ethan Winter, the first time in Oceanic Stock Car Association history that someone has swept every single stage.
And we have to say it, it's deserved. It is not a grand slalom. He did not take pole position. He did not take fastest lap. He did not lead every lap of this race. But what he did do was be in the right place at the right time. And he took absolutely everything. Maximum points then taken away from this round. And there's still battles to the line with the likes of Ethan Cale and Nick Ryan on a day which was very, very gritty to start with here, Reese. But critically, when drivers got out of stage 1 into stage 2, the big hit then that happened with the likes there of Cody Deeth, it woke up the field to go, right, arguably best driver in the field is out, let's settle down in and get smart, and everyone realised it's a strategy game from that point on, and Ethan Winter dominated every single phase.
That he did, and now the victory celebrations begin for the Vortex Sim Sports driver. Scott Rankin thought about going into the pit lane there, but I think he changed his mind and thought, hey, I'm going to go and congratulate my teammate. As across the yard of bricks, Ethan Winter drives one final time. Victory donuts on the road course grid. Fantastic drive from Ethan Winter here today, and shout out to Rankin as well, his teammate, managing to work his way back up to his starting position of 5th. It's a bit of a trend I've noticed from Scott Rankin, is that he loses out early on, but he always seems to crawl his way back up there by the end.
And that's the way. As Donuts then get ready, he's at the yard of bricks. He's going to be super happy. He's Ethan Winter. It's not a case of milk and all the rest of it then in terms of the pomp and circumstance, but what it is for him is a chance to say he is the bona fide championship leader walking out of round 4 of the championship here at IMS, and he will know when he heads to New Hampshire in 7 days' time for 150 laps, he is well in control.
By 1.9 seconds in the end, Ethan Winter took the win from Zach Kerr. Josh Horton and Wayne Burke, they fought with each other in the final stages to decide which Vermilion car would join Zach Kerr on the podium, but ultimately they ended up losing out to each other more often. Scott Rankin in 5th place ahead of Josh Perwin and Blaine Densley. Bryce Harding managing to make 9 positions up from his starting spot to finish 8th. Sam Chapman up 4 spots, and Tyson Broad rounding out the top 10. Hardest charger in the field, 26 places gained.
A wonderful result there of jumping up. Matt Bailey, a quiet day at the office, +1 for him as he finishes 11th ahead of Ben Faulkner, who faded from the lead in the final stages on old tyres. Justin Clayton and Ashley Dodson will be 13th and 14th, with Fitzroy Beaumont ahead of Willie McClune. Dave Douglas will get back up to 17th by the end of the race, as Lachlan Mead would be 18th ahead of Luke Dilworth, who had a long road of recovery in this race for Sigma Sim Sports, and Iridium's Logan Howard rounding out your 20.
Marcus Watson in 21st ahead of Ethan Cale and Nick Ryan. Nick starting dead last and finishing 23rd spot. A quiet but profitable race for the number 70. Ryan Barber finishing ahead of Lewis Greathead. Both of them losing, Lewis losing out a little bit more from 11th to 25th. Matthew Stables up from 39th to 26th. Then it was Daniel Boyd, Byron Phillips, Lachlan Capel, and Jackson Barry to round out your top 30.
And then you start hitting the drivers who just about got it over the line, or worse, 1 down for Tyler Williams and Shane Bowen. Jake O'Reilly then taking an early retirement out of this race, unable to gain anything more. Jace Douglas caught up late on in an instant, as well as Clayton Davis, Lachlan Frank, and Eli Donaldson out of the race, and the big hit being Cody Deeth. Then going out, Aidan Gregory's race run early on, and Lachlan Cowie a non-start to what we can only assume is a power outage on what was an all-important shake-up day here with OSCA.
certainly was. It's time to have a chat to our podium drivers. First off, our winner, Ethan Winter. And when I say winner, it is the winner of Stage 1, Stage 2, and the race finish. First time that's happened in the championship, Ethan. You're the one who takes those honors. That car looked mega out there today.
Yeah, I felt like the only way I was going to get done was a late caution or, potentially a fuel run in the mid-race. But, fortunately, none of those things unfolded. So, put that good pace to use this week and collected another win.
It was a tough job in the early stages, though. Some stop-start cautions. We were starting to fear up here to be a repeat of Michigan last week, but in the end, a really good green flag run going. And we were thinking early on in the race, it seemed like your car had a bit of trouble getting up to speed and staying stable on the cold tires. But once you got that green flag run going, I think that's where the car got into its window. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I just had to make a hold position on the outside those first couple of restarts. So I was overdriving it like hell, pitching it sideways to just hold on to second. And once I came out second, worked over Zach and then had that restart after the stage, which was very crazy. Had to pass bloody 15 odd cars, I think, and it all kind of worked out there and went green from then on.
Well, Indianapolis with much less banking than the first 3 rounds of the schedule, but we're going to go even flatter next week. On the 3rd of August, we go to New Hampshire Motor Speedway. What are your thoughts on that place? Certainly as much of a technical drive as Indianapolis, at least.
Yeah, it's definitely technical. I love that track, so I had that one circled before the season, so looking forward to getting some practice in during the week and seeing what we can bring to the track next week.
Who got it done for you today, Ethan?
Thanks to Maddington Toyota and Canterville Toyota, Graham Electrical Data, Ray White McLean, Clean and Yabba Vets, Slipstream Signs, Vermilion Esports for their continued partnership with us, Pace Graphics. Thanks to Team Conti, obviously, for supplying the setups. Obviously, they were mega quick. We locked out the podium as a group. Thanks to all the admins at AOG, obviously you guys commentating and Dan obviously broadcasting. Hopefully Jay's feeling a bit better. And thanks to all the series sponsors, 27 Designs, Ben Fulton Media, Lewis Greathead Coaching, and McLean and Yambo Vets.
Excellent stuff today, Ethan. We'll see you next week at the 1 mile in New Hampshire.
Cheers.
Lovely stuff from Ethan Winter today. Jake Sperry, you are stood by with our second place finisher, Zach Kerr.
Well, more importantly than just a second place finisher, your winner of the round 4-4 cash, Zach. Critically, you spent a day predominantly up near the front of the order. You had the pole out of qualifying, and critically for you, in the early stages, it looked like it was working a dream. You were very good off of the starts, building the margins. But would you say then out of today, the issue was a little bit more compared to Ethan long run pace? Because it looked like you were good over 5 laps, 6 laps, but then it just started to tiptoe over in terms of how much tyre wear was used.
Yeah, 100% long run. It was definitely good, but it could have been better. I think over the race with the track rubbering up, it didn't really help at all. So I ended up just getting tighter and tighter, and then just a massive struggle on the long run.
How important was it today that the dash for cash, in terms of getting a little bit of a bonus for you in your pocket, seemed to get easier and easier as the race went on? Bryce Harding went backwards off of the final restart. You had the likes then of troubles going on back down in the pack there for Cody Deeth, who ended up taking out contention. It seemed like all the stars aligned for you in that regard.
In a way, they all did. I saw Cody die, I think, pretty much right in front of me on the exit of 2, whenever that was, which I hope he's alright, because he looked like he flew a little bit. But then, yeah, I think all the others just had their issues. I saw Capel was nearly a lap down, and then Harding fell back on the long run.
Gives you a lot of confidence here, being right up at the top of Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Completely different, though, next week at New Hampshire, as you move back from what was what is a run here at 2.5 mile, well, 3 mile almost, all the way down to a 1 miler, and it's a lot more, I would say, close quarters, compact, and you're having to try and jostle and move drivers out of the way. How much of that is going to be playing into your mind in terms of the practice that you'll be doing over the course of the week?
Definitely a lot more practice than usual. Short tracks, not my strong suit, and probably not as enjoyable for me. So I have to put more prep in and hopefully bring the fight to Ethan.
Well, I'd concur in terms of that. Zach Kerr, then, for Vermilion Esports X Nexus, getting a second place finish in the book and being very happy with that result. And Reese, I believe you've got a good chat now with Josh Houghton.
Yes, indeed. Mr. Horton, third place for you from P3. You were keeping yourself up in the top echelons of the competition the whole time, but yeah, it looked like the walls were coming thick and fast all the way through there.
Yeah, look, it's a little bit tough to keep driving when you got some fast guys behind you in the mirrors. It's a challenge, but I just had to keep my head down and keep going, and it made it work.
Tough fight between yourself and teammate Wayne Burke at the very end of the race. That was a good scrap for the podium. Obviously, no team orders at Vermilion.
Yeah, we were in the same voice call. It was sort of just let's have a go. At the end of the race, we've got gaps in front and behind us, so let's have a dig. And he almost had me. He had his nose ahead, and he was going to make the pass, but I managed to stick it around the outside. But it was an awesome battle, and I'm really excited to keep it going with Berkey.
Well, with that finish, you have qualified for the round 5 Dash for Cash. So the Magic Mile beckoning next week at New Hampshire. Do you think you're strong at that place?
Look, I'll be honest, I've never done a lap there, but I can assure you that for the next week, I'll probably be hot lapping and drive nothing else on the sim. So we'll see how we go, but I tend to do better at the tracks at the shorter tracks where you have to brake a lot.
Well, there's definitely a lot of brake usage at New Hampshire, so we'll be looking for that number 43 to be right up there. Congratulations, Josh. Anyone you want to thank before we let you go on behalf of the team at Vermilion?
Obviously, a big shout out to everybody at the broadcast room. Thanks for all the work you do, and all of our in-race stewards. It's amazing what you guys put together. Also, Team Conti Sim Performance, Lewis Greathead Online Coaching, Ben Faulkner Media, Pace Wealth Fund, 27 Designs, all the Vortex Sim guys, and especially a massive shout out to Fury Global. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Joshua Horton on the podium here at Indianapolis. And that's going to conclude the broadcast for today. Round 5 qualifiers for the Dash for Cash. Ethan Winter, Zach Kerr, Josh Horton, and Wayne Burke. Top 4 in the race and the top 4 chartered drivers. Looking forward to the next round of the championship, Sperry. It'll be the first real short track of the season at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Been around since the early 1990s in its oval form, and it certainly provides a big technical challenge.
It does, and what it will mean is qualifying is even more of an importance, and so too will be the way that you conduct passes, because you can't just get a pass done in one corner. You're going to have to spend a couple laps just digging in, finding a way, and shuffling out. It's a lot more tactical, it's a lot more technical out there, and it's all about how you work acceleration to the brake zone and to get the drive off the exit. A car has to be absolutely on rails to get it to work there, and I think that as far as performance is going to be seen, I think we're going to see a completely different field. We'll see some drivers who have been up at the top today do well, but I think we'll see a lot of drivers who are maybe struggling here today, finding their time in the sun to have a chance when we head to New Hampshire Motor Speedway.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it in 7 days' time. You'll catch it from 7:55 Australian Eastern Standard Time on Monday, the 3rd of August. What a season it's turning out to be here. The first season of the Oceanic Stock Car Association Championship Series. Ethan Winter, again, coming away with top honours in all 3 stages for the first time of anyone. Thanks very much for watching, everybody, whether you're on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, or Kick. We appreciate you riding along with us here on SimSpeed TV. My name is Reese Gardner, Jake Sperry alongside me in the comms box, and Dan Yeaman producing behind the scenes. We'll catch you all at the Magic Mile.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.